Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ocean State Aquatics TV. Today we are going to be talking about how much light is too much light for your aquarium. So let's check it out. So today we're going to be talking about how much light and what your lighting schedule should look at. And today we are talking only in a freshwater aquarium setting. So first we are going to be talking about a tank that does not have any live plants in it. So if you have artificial decorations, artificial plants, this first part is going to pertain to you. So there is a lot of misconceptions out there when it comes to how much lighting your fish and your tank needs, especially if you do not have any plants in your tank. So I've heard a lot of people say that people have told them they need to keep their tank's lights on for 8 to 12 hours or even just all day long, even all night long. And I want to note that that is entirely false. You definitely want to shut your aquarium lights off, especially at night, because fish, just like us, need to sleep. If you keep your light on all night long, you will grow crazy amounts of algae and it will turn your tank a special shade of green. So the typical lighting schedule that I usually recommend for people to start with is going to be around 8 hours a day. If you have a lot of algae problems in your tank, if you get a lot of algae on your decorations, a lot of algae on the sides of your glass, or if you have really green water, I would actually recommend cutting it back to 6 hours or even shorter if you can. A common misconception is that fish need a lot of light, but if you have ambient lighting in your house, your fish actually don't need the big spotlights on top of your tank as much as you think they would. Your fish will be totally fine during the day with the lights off. The same goes for if you have an axolotl tank. So axolotls have actually very, very poor eyesight, so they don't really need a lot of light to begin with, and they actually like their environment to be as dark as possible. So for an axolotl tank, I would actually only recommend turning the light on when you are actively enjoying your tank. If you have big algae problems and you really like the look of your tank with the lights on, you actually don't have to have the lights on in one chunk of time all at once. So when you wake up, if you really want to enjoy the look of your aquarium in the morning, you can turn your lights on and enjoy it in the morning, and then actually turn them off in the middle of the day, maybe when you go to work or when you go to school, and then turn them on again when you get home. So there is a big chunk of the day when you are actually not home where your light is off to help mitigate algae growth. That is a really great method for making sure that you are enjoying the most time with the lights on as you can without having excess algae growth. If you have a habit of forgetting to turn the light on or forgetting to turn the light off, using a timer is an incredible way to just make it completely hands-free so the light will come on and turn off whenever you need it to as well. So when it comes to freshwater, another aspect that grows a lot of algae is actually going to be blue light. So a lot of fish tank kits that come off online or from big box stores will actually come with a lighting that has a blue light mode or a night mode. If you are using the blue light mode as a night light in a children's room, or if you're leaving the blue light on all night long, that is not the best idea because it will grow crazy amounts of algae. A lot of parents come in and say that their child likes having the blue light on when they sleep as a sort of night light. When the child goes to bed, you can leave the blue light on and then maybe go in about an hour after they've already fallen asleep and turn it off. Leaving that light on all night long will just cause your tank to get dirtier faster, and it will not provide any benefits towards the fish. That blue light rule also applies to other colors. If you have a light that switches to multiple different colors, if it does like purples and greens and pinks and blues, all of those colors, if you leave them on for prolonged periods of time, will grow a lot of algae. So moving on to a planted tank. So if you have live plants in your tank, your lighting schedule will look a little bit different than if you don't. If you have a planted tank, the plants obviously need to photosynthesize, so they need to have adequate amounts of light for them to continue to grow. If you do not run CO2 on your tank, your plants actually do not photosynthesize as long as you would think that they do. At night, when you shut your aquarium light off, as the fish in your tank respirate, they give off carbon dioxide. The CO2 will build up in concentration in your water overnight, and the next morning when you turn your light on, your plants will immediately start photosynthesizing. Since your plants will only photosynthesize the amount of CO2 that is built up overnight in your tank, and that is all relevant to the fish load that you have, don't feel like you have to keep your lights on for 10, 12, 15 hours for your plants to photosynthesize, because in the reality they are not photosynthesizing that entire time. 6 to 8 hours is more than enough time for a planted tank for your lights to be on. After your plants stop photosynthesizing, any remainder of the time that the light is on is just going to be growing algae on the leaves and on the walls of your tank. If you do run CO2 and do gaseous CO2 infusions in your tank, your lighting schedule will coincide with your CO2 schedule. Typically, you will turn your CO2 unit on a little bit before you turn your lights on, and then turn your CO2 unit off at least an hour before you turn your lights off as well, just to prevent the CO2 from building up to a toxic level inside of your aquarium. If you do run CO2, you just want to make sure you are very on top of your lighting schedule so you don't end up suffocating your fish. If you would like to learn a little bit more about how to pair your lighting with running CO2 injections in your tank, just let us know and we can potentially cover that in a future video. To summarize, your lights don't need to be on nearly as long as you might have thought. 6 to 8 hours is usually enough time. Of course, if you run CO2, leave your lights on to sync up with your CO2 unit. And that's about it for today. Thank you guys for watching, and like always, keep it fresh.